My name is Sean. I have worked with Kathleen and William Pierce at the district for now going on, I think it's almost 4 years. So we have been really fortunate to work closely with JCPS. You all have a site-wide, so all teachers, staff, and any adult basically within the district has full and complete unlimited access to Screencastify. And so while we primarily work with teachers, this is a tool that has so many other applications and uses that whether you are a teacher, you work at a building, district-based position, really anything in which a normal day-to-day job comes into play, Screencastify is going to have a really significant potential impact on how your day-to-day works. So the kind of title of our session is Elevate Your Day with Screencastify. I'm Sean. I'm our Director of Customer Solutions. Really excited to be with you. I've presented to JCPS teachers about once a month for the past couple of years at least. I've had the pleasure of visiting you all in person a couple times. So again, really excited to be with you today. So we have a few goals. We're going to introduce you all to the tool itself, knowing that some folks have some familiarity with Screencastify, others maybe have zero. You may have just heard of it. You might not even know what it does. But wherever you fit in that kind of spectrum of familiarity, we will make sure that we give you some practical, tangible things that you can go try today, along with building in a couple segments during the course of our session today, where you are going to be able to get in and practice the tool, along with building in some time at the conclusion for question and answer. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to meet, Screencastify, record, and edit. Now, before we do that, want to just bring your attention to kind of what is Screencastify. So we are a Google Chrome extension. So you will see our logo, which is this like dark pink arrow that lives in my Google Chrome toolbar. Now, all of you being employees at JCPS, you should have the extension pushed out to your device already. If you don't see it up there, that's okay. I would recommend just going to the puzzle piece directly next to the extension and giving that a click. As you scroll down, you should see Screencastify listed. Now, I have two. For working here, we have a staging one, but you should only see a single Screencastify. And I would recommend giving that a click on the pin so that it is like filled in, like you see my blue one here. What that's going to do is it's going to populate that extension to always be visible within your Google Chrome toolbar. Because it is a very easy to access and very easy to start tool, that's why we recommend it being there. Because when I go ahead and click on the extension, it's going to pull up my Screencastify stuff. And this is going to be the kind of starting point for all things that we have within the tool itself. Now, you'll notice that this view looks a bit different than this one. And that's because just a day or so ago, we have released a whole new amazing user experience edition and refreshed kind of multiple things within the tool. But I'll make sure to point out any of those differences as we go. Now, what has not changed, though, is the functionality of Screencastify. So we have been a company for approximately 8 or 9 years, and we started off as a screen recorder only, where I could click a couple buttons and I could record what was on my screen, and then I would share that out to anybody who wanted to watch that. So we are creating videos of your screen, of your webcam, or of your desktop, which means anything that's a combination of both of those, allowing you then an easy ability to take that recording that you made of your screen and share it out to staff members, to peers, to parents, to internal training platforms, any and all of the above, along with many other examples. And the nice part about this is that everything that we share is shared via hyperlink. So once we make a video, which we're going to walk through and practice together today as well, once we make a video, it instantly gets converted to a copy and shareable hyperlink. So just like you would paste a website address or a website link into an email or into a document for other people to click on, the same thing is going to be true for any Screencastify video. But the record functionality was our very first example or platform in which people were able to engage with the tool. So you can start a video in as little as 3 clicks, and each of these is a customizable option that you can have within the tool itself. So for me, if I click on Screencastify, again, the view is a bit different, but the functionality is the same. I've got 3 choices. I can record just this single tab. I can record my full screen, which means that it's going to follow along with anything that you see on my desktop. I can pick webcam only, which is going to just record the webcam. So in our Zoom call, you can see that little box where it's my face and shoulders and some of the background. That would be what was picked up in the webcam. Now, a couple things to point out here as well. You'll notice that every time I talk, that green line fluctuates up and down. No talking, it's flat. When I talk, it goes. You want to make sure that always is going to be kind of mirroring as you speak, because if it's not and it just looks flat, that's going to indicate that we don't have any audio on our video. Sometimes it'll say microphone off, in which case you want to toggle that back on. I can toggle on my webcam. So in this case, if I'm on full screen, I can select my webcam to be included down in my screen, or I can select it not to be. But when I am doing a webcam recording only, since that's the only thing that's going to be recorded, it's going to show me a circular preview of that webcam-based recording. A couple other options that I have the ability to customize is how many seconds I have until I start my recording. Do I want drawing tools? So do I want to be able to like annotate and mark up some stuff on my screen and some other emoji-based stuff that I'll show you in just a second. But each of these are those customizable options that you have when you're making a recording. Now, when you do this, it's important to keep in mind a couple things. If you ever have been asked a question multiple times, maybe by a peer, maybe by a staff member, and you find yourself repeating the same thing. So they'll email you something and then you'll start typing the same response over and over and over again. That is one of the most common examples that we use for where Screencastify might be a good substitute. Instead of typing the same email every other day, make one single recording that answers that question and then send that out as your response each time someone contacts you for that question. But when we're doing this, we call this an instructional video, and that applies to really any time you are using Screencastify for an explanation or a response or to convey some type of information. You want to keep in mind two primary things. The first one is signaling, which means that you're clearly indicating what is most important in the video. And then two is segmenting. We're going to do one thing at a time. It's very easy when you know the answer to a question to kind of just forge on, but your computer hasn't caught up yet. So it's important to just slowly go through, make sure our one thing is done before we go on to the next. And we most commonly see that when people are using multiple websites to answer a question. You're clicking on the link and it's still loading, but you're already then following it up with an explanation because you know what website you're going to, but the viewer does not. So what we can do in record, and I'll show you how this looks in real life in just a second, is I can emphasize my mouse clicks, I can add fireworks for celebratory purposes, shapes, emojis, and the pen tool, all of which allow you to customize your explanation that it is that you're working with. Now, this is a Bill of Rights example where I might use this for teachers, but we're going to go through and we're going to do a little bit of a different one. I'm going to go to JCPS's website, and I'm going to use the example of like if a parent contacted you and asked you a question of how can I access some information? And there's a specific piece of information. And maybe you know that it's in under departments or students and family, and maybe they're asking about where I can find a specific school. We'll use a different example. Maybe it is about transportation, in which case they want to know and or learn about something related to transportation services. So maybe my student is in early childhood and I have some questions specific to early childhood. Now, you know that you have to click on each of those subsequent links, but maybe the parent does not know that, and maybe they didn't take a ton of time to look, but you want to help them answer that question. So you're going to go to your website, and then this is where I'm going to start my recording. So I'm going to go up to record. I'm going to select full screen because I want them to see the pattern of clicks that I go from step A to step D or E or whatever it is. I'm going to make sure my webcam is on. There's a bigger and better connection. When they see your face, they can see your facial expressions. If you're ever using this video, if you're ever using this video for like purposes where you want someone to, like teachers will use it for younger learners for language acquisition as they can see their mouth move. Now, there are times when that's also going to be applicable in non-student related examples as well. But for our sake now, I'm going to click record. Now, I have an external monitor hooked up, so you can actually see our meeting right here. But I'm going to pick my first screen, which is the one that we were all working on together. So you'll notice that it went 3, 2, 1, ding. That was because I set my countdown at 3 seconds. Now here's my webcam. I can move my webcam anywhere I want. I can close my webcam if I don't need it or if I decide I change my mind. If I want to bring it back, I can go down and select turn on webcam, and my webcam should repopulate when I click turn on webcam. We're having a problem there, but that's no worries. So what will end up happening is that you're now trying to explain to your teacher or parent or student or community that answer to the same question. So I am going to personally go through and I'm going to click on my pen tool and I'm going to say, hi parents, thank you so much for asking. When you have a question about transportation, the first place that you're going to go is you're going to go click on student and family. And so when I click on student and families, it's going to bring me to a dropdown. And when that dropdown appears, I'm going to go to the how to apply, and then I'm going to navigate over to transportation. When I select transportation, I am going to make sure that I'm looking for the section that says early childhood. I am going to click on early childhood. It's going to take me down to the section of, and I can clear all, of early childhood transportation, where any and all of your questions are going to be answered. So then this is where, from this segment here, you might go through and explain to them that this information is going to apply for early childhood transportation. If you wanted to use a rectangular box instead, you could bring that up and bring your attention to this. If you wanted to make a note of highlighting or spotlight, you could say you could call this number for Ask Early Childhood at this email, or you can follow them on X/Twitter. And so what this is doing is it's allowing you to create a single explanation of a parent or guardian or an adult that has a question about early childhood transportation. Now, when you're finished with your explanation, you can click stop. This is also especially helpful if anybody works in like anything technology or IT related, or where people are having issues with a login or with a problem of getting into a certain program or their computer not working correctly. A lot of our IT departments that we work very closely with will create a single link and allow folks to submit videos to them so that you're not sending emails back and forth with send me this screenshot, send me this screenshot. Video can be a really effective way to communicate because you're matching the description along with the visual. So we're going to have our new AI assistant, which is just released, allow you to enhance your video with AI. So you can click on this button and a few things are going to happen. You're going to be able to add a title and description, captions, translations to 50+ languages, as long with an enabling of an AI voiceover. So if you work with a population where maybe some of the guardians, adults, or parents do not natively speak English, yet you know translation is going to be super important for them, this would be a really helpful way in which you can communicate via translated closed captions for non-native English speakers to also be able to watch your video in the language of their choice. So when I clicked AI Assistant enabled, I then have a few things that I can go do. If I click here, I can go up to untitled video. My first thing that I'm going to want to do is make sure I title my video. So in this case, I would say early childhood transportation. And I'm going to put the date because I want as much information as possible for me to be able to go back and find this when I need it. That's the key piece, is that we want you to be able to create these things and then use them over and over and over again so that you don't have to recreate it. Now, this is my early childhood transportation example. And so while I titled it, I also am realizing now that I probably want to make a couple adjustments in my editor to get rid of all this stuff at the top and maybe some of the stuff at the bottom. Because I'm going to be putting this out to parents and guardians in the community, I want to make it look just a little bit better. And so the way that we do that is using the very easy to use Screencastify editor. And so I am going to click edit video. But before we get into the specifics of actually editing the video, what I'm going to ask you all to do is to give a few minutes of actually trying this yourself, of going in and using Screencastify for just a few minutes with anything that you believe would be applicable to your day-to-day. And so the goal with these next 6 minutes is truly to just make sure we have the extension, click on the extension, and then draw some stuff on the screen. That's it. And so you might have a view that looks different than this. That's okay. I've reinstalled my extension within the last 12 hours, so you might see the images that we showed you before. But again, the functionality and the features are very, very identical. So don't worry about that. Everything else should work the same. So we're going to take about 6 minutes. I'm going to have you go in, just make a video. Get to the point of the screen where you are seeing this. So start a video, write some stuff on it, and then click stop. If it's like very unique and very new to you, that's totally okay. Part of getting familiar with anything, as you all know, is just practice. And so we're going to take a few minutes to go through and give you time to try your first Screencastify video. All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope that that was successful, at least in the sense of maybe you got to a point where you created a video and hopefully ended up on this screen right here. That was the goal. And if you know what, even if that didn't happen, that's completely okay. It's brand new. We'll get you on the extension. We'll make sure that you're supported as you continue on, because the entire purpose here is to just hopefully make your day a little bit easier, save you some time, bring efficiency to things that you maybe previously had to replicate so that you don't have to do that over and over and over again. Repetitive tasks, easy communication, all those things can be definitely aided and helped with the use of Screencastify, even if you're doing it on a semi-regular basis. So if we got to the video part, that's wonderful. If not, no worries. We'll get there again sometime in the future. But once we make that video, the next question we kind of ask ourselves is like, who's watching this video? If you are making a video, which is certainly possible, that you're sending it to just one person, somebody asks you a question, they're like, how do I access this purchase order process? And you're like, oh, okay, cool, like no big deal. It's a friend of mine who I know for a long time. I'm going to get in there. I'm just going to show them a quick, easy walkthrough steps 1, 2, 3. You make your video, you send it over. You probably don't do too much because you know them and you know it's an audience of one person. So you might not need to edit it. However, if your video is going to be sent to a broader audience, maybe a community or parents or adults or staff members, or it's going to be publicly available for people to watch whenever they choose to, that might be the moment where we want to make a couple edits to make the video just a little bit better. An example being, you want to add text to a video that you did not put in before the actual recording process. You want to zoom in and zoom out on a specific spot, or crop and trim out unnecessary information. Or maybe you're going to use a real example of something that has someone's identifying information in it, but you really want to send out that as an example while simultaneously protecting their privacy. All of these things are very easy and simple to do with our Screencastify editor. And I'm going to show you now how to do that. So when I have this video page up here, which all of us got to if we made a video, this is the default landing page anytime you make a Screencastify video. So once you click stop, it's going to take you here. Now that's going to allow you to do any of the additional functions within Screencastify post video creation. So if I want to make some quick edits, because I'm going to send this video out to a staff of a couple hundred people, I care about like what that looks like. So I click on my edit video and it's going to populate in this view here. Now we are still working on a couple changes, but that's no big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a video, which you will not need to do. If it's working the way that it should, it's going to automatically deposit the video into your example of what that looks like. This video is going to be dropped into my editor. Now, for the sake of our example, we want to make some changes to this so that we can make it in a way that is presentable for an external audience. Now, just like I made that video example for all of us together, this one has the same things. So you'll notice at the top, there's like the title of my slides and my tabs and my favorites and all my apps down here at the bottom. If this video is being sent out to a lot of people, we care about what this looks like. So if you ever make an edit, my first recommendation is to make any edits first that apply to the entire video. Now, in this case, the edits that we're going to make the first ones do apply to the whole video, like this stuff up here. I want to get rid of that junk because people don't need to see it, and it might be a distraction depending on what they're trying to do. So I have my video that is highlighted in yellow, and you'll notice that that is all around the border. I'm going to then click crop. When I click crop, it's going to produce this orange box with a border around it. I could put this anywhere I want, but in this case, I'm going to put it in a spot that just shows you the information that we went over as a group, and just the information that is critical for my audience to see while getting rid of all that noise. So just by making some adjustments and moving the box around and clicking done, I now have made this video look a whole lot cleaner with eliminating my favorites and my tabs and my tools, and people are now not distracted by that information. So that's just one single edit that is super easy and super quick to make, that makes your video elevated immediately. The one other example I'll show you, and then we'll kind of jump back into our example of getting you into the editor, is when we want to blur something or we want to protect people's privacy. So when I am doing this, I am going to go through and I say I'm going to use an example of someone's video, but they did not give me permission to actually show their face. So I want to be considerate of that and not show their face. So what I would do is I would go to my blur tool, and same deal, it's going to show me a box. In this case, this one is purple. I'm going to pull that box over the person's face, and I'm using my face obviously as an example, to protect and make sure that that is private. So I've now put the box over that person's face, but I'm going to also go over to intensity, and I'm going to go all the way up to high. And now there is nothing that can be seen that is behind that box. So I'm protecting the person's privacy while also being able to use a really good example of something. Now, this could apply to student names. If you wanted to go all the way over here and pull that down, if you had a list of names on the left-hand side, but you really wanted to use this real example. And then I'm just going to make sure that my blur tool is on the left side, and then it lasts for the duration of the video clip. And I'm going to click done. And so now I've blurred my side, I've cropped out all that stuff that didn't matter, and I feel really good about my video. So I'm going to click export, and I'm going to click back to Screencastify. I'm going to title it with the date, the title and words, and I'm going to click export. And now it's going to process my final video, and it's going to produce that back into the original page that we showed before. Whenever you are ready, you can come back to your videos anytime by clicking on the extension and clicking on those two little boxes that are shadowed over each other that say My Videos. And when I click on My Videos, it's going to take me to my video library, which will show me the videos that we have made here together, along with the things that we can then do with those videos. And so it's really critical that we're going to be able to launch everything from this page. And so anytime you export a video, it's going to then be visible within this particular video library. And so at this stage, we know that we can make several adjustments within our editor, like breaking up content. If you make a long video that has 5 steps in it, you can go in and you can split that into 5 different segments, and you can move them around. Once again, with the purpose and point being to use content at a later date so you do not have to redo it. You can build in clips of blank slides called title clips that could act as timers if you're ever leading a training for staff members, or if you ever have your team doing something where you want them to do an activity together. All of these things are certainly possible within the Screencastify editor. So what I would ask you to do now is, all of you hopefully made that video that got you to this page. Go ahead and click on Edit Video, and it should open up our editor with your video deposited down in the bottom. And I would ask now for you to take 6 minutes and go through and give it a go, similar to before, with practicing how we edit that as a group. So similar to the record, just go in, click around, try to get familiar with the tool, and we will come back together in 6 minutes once that timer is up. All right. Hi, everyone. Hopefully that was at least doable to the degree of getting in the editor and sharing a little bit of stuff that you were able to try out for the sake of our example. But once we're done with all those things, I think it's really about the next step of our video process that makes us so helpful to any person or professional, really, from how videos are then able to be accessed. We know that email is a lot. People are getting increasingly more emails, and sometimes they just want someone to explain it to them. And if we can't connect on the phone, or if we're not able to have a face-to-face, video can be a really good substitute for that, along with it being able to be created at your convenience and within your schedule. So once that video is made, you've edited it, you've pushed it back here. Now we're ready to share that video. And the best part is that it's very easy to do that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to click Share Settings. And in this case, we have the video privacy of us being able to determine who is going to choose who can access a video. Now, I want more than just me. I want anyone with the link to be able to look at that video. And I want to be able to track that video if I'm sending it to a specific audience of people and depending upon what it is that I'm doing. So in this case, I'm going to select by email address because I know that if my whole staff is watching it, that they have an email address. If I'm sending it to a community, maybe I select by name, then viewers are going to have to enter a name. So I'll at least have some information and clarity on who is watching that. So I'm going to click Save. Now, once I click Save, I know anyone with the link and by name is going to be able to do that. So we'll leave it as by email, click Save, and go from there. I'm going to click Share, and then I'm going to go paste this video wherever I would paste a normal hyperlink. Once I paste that, if somebody clicks on it, this is where they are taken to. They are instantly taken to the video that you created, and then they're going to go through and be able to watch that explanation of wherever it is that you went. So in this case, we told them to go to students and families. We eventually got them to the early childhood section. We told them who they could call and where to find that info. And so now if you have a frequently asked questions page, maybe you copy and paste this link, you paste it underneath. Do you have questions about early childhood? Watch this video. Or every time someone emails you, you instantly know to copy and paste that explanation of being able to send them this video. So the share process is super easy. You can share it also in multiple ways. If you want to push it straight to a Google Classroom, if you happen to use that. If you want to push it straight into your Gmail. If you share anything via QR code, there is a copy QR code. Each of these are very helpful with how we are able to make our videos more accessible to as many people as possible. Last item is that we also know that folks who are not native English speakers is increasing. And so we want video content to be accessible to those folks just like anyone else. And so we are extremely excited to share and show the add captions function. So when I click add captions, if this video again was going to be watched by community members or parents, it is now auto-generating captions in the background. And so when I end up sharing this video, I, the teacher, creator, or user, have enabled captions in English to be the default. But why this is such a significant difference is because the user is going to be able to pick which language they want their video to be watched in. So my captions are now added, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to click share video, and I'm going to copy and paste that. So now you'll see my captions are default in English, but if I, an adult or someone else in the community, and I go home and I click on this video, I'm like, well, I don't really feel super comfortable with English. I wish I could pick it in my native language. Yes, now we have that in 50+ languages of choice that the user can watch in. So anything that is in our list is available. I click on CC, closed captions, and I pick language. And when I select language, you're going to see this drop down. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find, and so I'm going to pick Spanish, and it's translating my captions now to Spanish. It might take a few seconds. But once that translation process is finished, I, the viewer, am now going to be able to watch this video in Spanish. And the same is true for any of those other languages. If I speak Arabic, if I speak Thai, any of them, they can pick that, and the user gets to determine what the language is viewed in. So we know this is helpful for any time when accessibility, or if there are language barriers within our communication system, that we're going to be able to make videos, send them out to folks that are then translated into their language of choice, along with another layer that is going to be available very soon, which is AI overlay. So there's also going to be the language that is spoken within their language of choice on top of the captions. So we are extremely excited to show. So you'll notice now showing captions in Spanish. So you'll notice that it went 3, 2, 1, ding. So now it's going to show me my Spanish captions throughout the duration of the video, which is the same thing it would do for any of those other 50+ languages that we pick.